Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks, another match of Beyond All Reason. Today I've got a match that I know features a whole lot of friendly faces, familiar faces, and I'm excited to take a look at it because it does happen to be on a particular map that I don't think we've seen a whole lot of. The map goes by the name of Pinch Point 1.0.1, and today, spawning on the front lines, representing our blue team is an Armada commander, a commander that goes by the name of Aeon Spy. 33 true skill and Silvertail chevrons to boot. A lot of Silvertails in this one as well, so this should definitely be a little bit up there as far as an experience level goes, so definitely going to be lots to learn and lots to observe, and so if maybe you're a little newer to the game, this might be one to grab a snack and enjoy. One of the things that I figured I'd take a second here to remind everybody of is if you have a game that you'd like to see casted on the channel, I'm always happy to take a look at viewer submitted matches. Most of the matches I cast are taken from my Discord channel, so take a look in the description down below. There's a link to the Discord where you can join up in the Brightworks community. It's also where I announce the live streams. We do have a whole lot of fun as of recording this. There should be another one coming up this Tuesday, but also on Saturdays, 12 PDT. We're thinking about moving that forward, but for the time being, 12 PDT, it's a whole lot of fun. But definitely check out the Discord if you're interested in seeing your match up here on the YouTubes. Aeon Spy going to be representing the blue team, counteracted of course by the red team leader Jamakis. Going to be representing the red team here in the backline as a Armada commander as well. Love to see that. Both team leaders going for Armada supremacy all the way. Pinch Point, this is a really interesting map. It's got some sea lanes, it's got some kind of sea and land lanes, some middle of the ground, middle road lanes, middle of the road, middle ground lanes. You know what I'm trying to say here. Boats and vehicles and bots, all three coming together here to make it really complicated in the middle of the match. So it should be, or the middle of the map, pardon me, should be good to see. On the southern lane, you have this really interesting spot where you do have a naval player, but then you also have a player spawning up here on this high ground. There's a 5.2 metal extract right there, so that's obviously quite nice. And of course, this player is going to be heavily incentivized to go for an air start because, well, spawning up here on this cliff, you don't have very many other options. Although it would be kind of cheeky to see maybe this player go into, I don't know, maybe a Navy start down on the southern side, grab these metal extractors and then help win their Navy lane. That could certainly be an interesting play. Anyway, we do have some aggression already on the front lines. Rovers and Rascals and Grunts, oh my, headed out onto the map today. I feel like I forgot to announce something, but I guess that's everything I had on my plate. I'm checking right now. I'm looking through my Discord, just making sure everything's looking all right. We have a lot of fun. I would definitely encourage it, especially if you're maybe a little bit bored of the meta. Oh, all right. Nice little comm snipe right there. A couple of fighters shoot down the commander that was being transported right there from Cage Coat. That's going to be a beautiful little pickoff. Definitely allowing for a little bit more metal to be reclaimed out on the map. We'll have to see who can go out and grab that. We do have a constructor vehicle here. It should absolutely go grab that metal immediately. Actually might end up being a benefit here. Yeah, I mean, if Cage can actually if Cage can actually grab that metal and eat it all up, it's not really going to be that bad of a detriment, right? I mean, it just means you have an extra 1,000 metal on the Navy lane. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. It does deny you, of course, that commander on the front to repair a lot of those boats. This is what Cage was trying to do, by the way, trying to transport the commander across to try and grab this island over here, but unfortunately got shot down in the process. There is other commanders moving around over here as well, so I love to see that we're actually using the fighters, patrolling them around over here to try and make sure that nobody can move those commanders around, at least not freely. I would love to see if we could snipe another one. Now, Xenodragon is, at the end of the day, going to be able to capture this little island area over here. Lovely stuff. That is a 5.2 metal extractor. My goodness. Very, very valuable to capture that. Going to be going up against Leela, who is out in the water here. Should be interesting to see who's going to be able to win that. If that metal extractor stays under the control of the purple commander, definitely going to be a huge, huge advantage. Metal extractor is up on the high ground. Looks like this constructor was transported up here. Put down a Twilight on that 5.2 as well, giving Aeon Spy a nice little economic benefit. Going to be improving the economy right here of the blue commander quite a lot. Yeah, these 5.2s, they're in such cheeky locations. You need transports in order to get them. So a really proactive air player flying those fighters around is going to be absolutely critical. Making sure that none of these are captured by the enemy here. I wonder if you could just barely reach. I don't think so. Yeah, I think you'd probably have to transport a commander up there. I doubt you'd be able to reach from the lower section. I do like that we're building LLTs and anti-air turrets and all that sort of stuff, though. Oh, we're gonna resurrect over here. Interesting, okay. The resurrection, I mean, it makes sense. We have a whole lot of energy in the sea lane right here for Cage. Makes a lot of sense to go for that resurrection, get that commander up and running, because of course using that commander is a little bit of mobile build power to keep your Navy up and running. It can be quite good, quite powerful. Definitely tricky though. Takes a long while to res those commanders when they fall over. And Xeno going for a little wall off over here. Using some of those dragon's teeth to try and fortify that metal extractor. Obviously wanting to keep that metal extractor alive at all costs because it is 5.2 metal. At this point, it's almost half the economy of the, or almost a third of the economy for the purple commander here. Yeah, very well worth keeping that thing alive. Frigate's going to be more than happy to blast away at the commander over on the shoreline, though. Got to be very careful about that. Lovely aggression coming out here by the blue commander. Sending the pawns forward. Yeah, we storm the pawns forward, and suddenly they catch all these Rocketeers over here. There is also a Centurion out. One Centurion does not a stalwart defense make, though, and unfortunately for the hot pink commander and the light pink commander, that front line just got blitzed. Well, pawned. Pwned? Pwned. There we go. Found a pun in the pawn somewhere along the way. Weakening that front line, definitely making it a little bit uncomfortable. Now, eventually it will be deflected and all shut down, and so it wouldn't be the end of the world to see some resbots picking up a lot of these wrecks over here. There's a single pawn lying around over here as well. Yeah, everybody's worried about that little radar blip. Nope, just a single pawn. It'll be blasted apart over here. Meanwhile, Constructor will be dropped up on top of this high ground here. I actually really like the Twilight play we went for out of the blue commander. It kind of makes sense. I mean, essentially, you're going to intuit that anybody who sets up a little fortification, like, for instance, a gauntlet up on this high ground, probably invested in the metal extractor, but it's hard to believe what you can't see. We'll have to see. So far, I mean, I think this thing has certainly paid itself back. You have to remember, the 200 metal per piece, but by this point, this has already stayed up a couple of minutes, so it's definitely going to be quite good. Jamaica is transporting his commander to the southern section here, trying to grab this southern 5.2 metal. Glad to see that we're jumping on top of that here. The Maroon Commander definitely slacking, not getting on top of that spot here. Where is the Maroon Commander? Ah, Renansk going for the land-based metal extractors over here. Renansk, for some reason, reminds me of the Command and Conquer Red Alert 2 Russian general. Forget what his name is, but it reminds me of Renansk. I just recently bought, during the Steam sale, the Command and Conquer's bundle, and it has just about every single Command and Conquer game that I think has ever been made. Like, it has virtually all of them. I've been thinking about thumbing through some of those. Maybe let me know down in the comment section if you're interested in seeing something about those. I was thinking about building a little video showcasing the tutorial section of that game, as well as the what is it called? The tutorial section, as well as the campaign. Just because I think it's exactly the direction that I would love to see Bar take. Sort of cheesy and over the top and absolutely 100% invested in itself. Gauntlet just about to finish right here. And I think it's probably in a good enough spot that it's well worth it, by the way. Usually I'm a little hesitant of the Gauntlet, but I think in this case it's going to be alright. Grunt's trying to run through, not so powerful as the pawns, and so the heroes of the Armada faction will, at the end of the day, clean all that up. Gauntlet now going to be firing away at the low ground here. It's only a matter of time before this Gauntlet gets enough value. Adamos, quick to shut this down here, moves the commander in, trying to protect it. We do have a lightning turret coming up here, slowly but surely. That lightning turret's not done yet. D-gun is used to blast away at that lightning turret. Can the D-gun reach this thing over here? Yeah, I think it probably can. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ah, we just just barely need to flick that D-gun a little bit further. You have to aim it all the way at the back over there. There we go. D-gun does eventually take down the Gauntlet. That's quite nice. Okay, that's 1,000 metal down the drain for Aeon Spy here. An extremely, extremely expensive... Oh, we're going to reclaim that. That's funny. An extremely expensive way to lose that, right? I mean, because you lose effectively the entire thing. LOT is being set up here. What a dumb LLT battle. Aeon Spy trying to D-gun here. I think the right idea is to just build more, more and more LLTs. Sort of what Atmos is doing here. You can see those LLTs blasting away, hitting the Twilight over here, which will eventually EMP everything. Funny enough. There was a brief second right there where Aeon Spy could have microed this by waiting for the EMP to go off and then starting up another LLT so that it wasn't EMP'd. Not gonna matter though. Some frigates are pushing on the southern side. Looks like the frigates just barely can't hit that metal extractor. That's good to know. They're gonna be able to shoot that one though. Gunboats here, making this a fabulous trade. Activating some of that flanking damage as well as wasting some of the shots from these frigates in Cyan. Going to mean that these two frigates going up against quite a few more here for the Maroon Commander will eventually be shut down. It's a small battle, but definitely an important victory. Every one of those fights that you can take that you manage to come out on top of definitely start to compound very, very quickly. We're going for a heavy laser turret up now. The constructor will be lost, but at least the heavy laser turret was started, so Aeon Spy can continue making it. Ouroboros trying to degun things down over here as well. All of this, of course, a measure to prevent the T2 lab from being sniped over here. We have the T2 constructor that was handed out. Unfortunately, though, we're starting the T2 lab and doing the T2 metal extractors at the same time. I think we need to prioritize the mexes. You get those mexes up and running, and it's much, much easier to actually pay for that T2 laboratory. Big old Navy fight on this one. Man, I'm so excited by the Navy battles we get to see on this. Usually in Supremacy, one or the other side will be essentially abandoned. We see one of the sea lane players just kind of turtling up over on that side and refusing to fight. This side, or this map rather, not really an option, so you definitely have to get out in the water. It's much more important. Rest subs patch up this Riptide right here for Cage. A little bit of a missed opportunity right here. Very, very passive play from Renansk. Ah, but that makes sense. Okay, so Renansk has gone for a T2 laboratory. I was going to say, it's an extremely passive play to just not do any aggression across the map. Cage, however, still on T1 and pumping out those T1 units. Now, there is a weird moment, right, where you continue building units and suddenly you have enough units to kill your enemy. Even though they have the T2 lab, they don't have the T2 units. It could certainly get quite tricky here any moment. Shell Shockers whittling away at one of these heavy laser towers over here. Heavy laser tower receiving a massage to try and keep it nice and healthy. Yeah, constructor under fire. We could hide it away over there in the corner, but that would take a little bit of micro. Random OFG. Going to be a little busy on the front line, I suppose. Heavy laser turret will get the tower, rather. Well, I guess it's a turret. Will get a chance to fire away at a couple of these medium tanks. Nice D-gun right there. Yeah, sure. Well, okay. Boom goes the brown commander right there to the forces of the powder blue commander Mikaksky. Mikaksky. Sounds a little wrong, doesn't it? Anyways, powder blue commander here with more medium tanks left over after that brutal explosion. Commander also left over, meaning of course that we can go for a little bit of a reclaim. I think that's going to be a great opportunity right here for this commander to eat up all this juicy metal, just turn it into regular T1 medium tanks and continue the overwhelming aggression right here. Metal extractors left abandoned up here, as well as the geothermal. If you're the air player on this team, I absolutely think you should be going around claiming those geothermals. God Official has gone into air right here, T2 air nonetheless, and is going to be building, let's see, some T2 fighters as well as a anti-nuke system. Good on you for remembering that anti-nuke system, better than I do. Cage Squad's commander, which was resurrected, will start, well, sneaky beaking its way across. Yeah, alright, killer D-gun right there. Beautiful D-guns right there. My goodness, that D-gun was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Cage Squad just eliminated thousands of metal worth of Navy right there. Maybe the best D-guns I've seen in a good, hot, long minute. That was absolutely brilliant from the Cyan Commander. A massive play, catches his enemy, not paying attention to his army for just a split second, and all of it evaporates into thin, gray mist. Beautiful, beautiful play. Leela, meanwhile, fighting for her life over on the northern section. We have res subs out, trying to keep everything alive, but that destroyer does go down, and this frigate, as well as, well, these frigates, pardon me, will go down shortly thereafter. We do have more and more res subs out for the purple commander. I've learned over the years, a little bit of an over-exaggeration there, I've learned over time, basically comes down to is more res subs. All the boats in the world don't matter if you can't patch them back up and keep them healed and eventually get them afloat again. These red subs are going to be absolutely critical in making sure that this Navy stays up and running. Yeah, destroyer is more than eager to blast away at that commander under the waves here. I think with those depth charge launchers, it should be no problem for these destroyers to take out the yellow commander. Leela just trying to reclaim as much as possible here on the front lines. I think maybe the yellow commander has realized that their commander is essentially forfeit and just trying to reclaim as much as possible before going down. Xeno Dragon failing to kill the commander though. Oh no. So much value going back to Leela and Leela right now. There we go. Destroyers finally move in, and I think these will be enough depth charges. Pop the commander, preventing a whole lot of that reclaim here. A little bit slow on the draw right there from Xeno Dragon. Maybe just a little bit worried about what forces were out there. Obviously, calls like that are easy for us to see from a spectator's POV. A little bit harder to make that judgment from, well, in the game, in the hot seat. Shuriken here saving the day on what would otherwise be an absolutely brutal loss over here. Gets the T2 lab up, gets the T2 mexes up, gets the economy up, and starts pumping out units. But with all those units that were D-gunned right there, I think Cage definitely had the right idea to get aggressive. The Shuriken definitely saved the Maroon Commander right here from total obliteration. Those ships need to be turned into T2 immediately. If we can eat up all that metal, and that is the plan here, eating up all that metal. These coral reefs have a little bit of energy in them. That's why these res bots are, or construction ships, pardon me, are trying to focus on those. then I think we're going to be in a great spot. Big old mixture of compositions, or big old mixture of forces making up the composition on the front line here. A bundle of T2, Armada, and a Cortex. We have Sheldons, Sharpshooters, Fiends, Grunts, you name it. Some radar and radar jammers. We do actually have a spy bot here as well. Always lovely to see. Spy bot should be sent forward here. Might even hand over the spy bot to the commander, I believe that's Ouroboros? Yeah, Ouroboros. The one with the sharpshooters. Obviously, the sharpshooter is going to get some insane value with a sniper bot to give them line of sight. Sharpshooters fire essentially a hit scan projectile. It's not technically a hit scan projectile, but it is. Or maybe I have that mixed up with the other kind. Anyways, it fires a little dot that travels across the map. Does a crazy amount of damage. Gunslinger causing trouble over here. Gunslinger's gonna find a commander. Actually, if this is microed properly, this Gunslinger has a crazy opportunity. Gunslingers are tremendous against commanders. They can micro against them, but also they gain crazy experience when they fight commanders. So it makes it a really, really efficient trade right here for the Gunslinger. Not going to be the case, though. The Gunslinger more than happy to just blast away at a whole bunch of these other units. Sharpshooter will be the end of its reign, though. And that does go down eventually. Shuriken Swarm is looking fabulous. My goodness, Pyroglacius is absolutely on top of it. Buccaneers here to shut down the metal extractors, always lovely to see. And the battleship, the Despot here, going to be anchoring for the blue commander. Cage transported up onto this high ground to capture this metal extractor. Love to see that, but I think it's about time that commander retreats or dies so that we can eat it up for a whole bunch of juicy, juicy metal. Battleship will be phenomenal for blasting away at this metal extractor over on the southern side. Sharpshooters on the blue side have made a guest appearance here. And those pawns running forward are going to be quite nice for shielding the sharpshooters in blue from the force of the red. Big old medium tank ball over here. Surprised there's no aggression. Absolutely no army whatsoever on the southern side right here. Allowing the brown commander to eco up as much as they possibly want to. Definitely a little bit of a misread right there by Mikoski. Powder blue commander. Going up to T2. Maybe that's the reason we're a little hesitant with the units. Not wanting to throw them all away, but certainly using the commander to deconstruct them or just eat up all this wreckage right here would speed up that T2 transition. Allows you to build all that T2 economy that you so desperately crave, as well as a whole bunch of those units, which are always fabulous because, well, units win games. At the end of the day. Love to see that this geothermal is eventually taken by God Official. A little bit slow on the draw maybe, but still, better late than never, absolutely. And you can see the economy for God Official is actually fabulous. We are going to indeed go for a nuclear launcher. Definitely a tried and true technique here. This anti-nuke never came up, which is a little bit interesting. Guess we abandoned that project and went back into it later on. A couple of platypus have snuck around the map here. Platypus are a little bit strange. They have a light laser attached to them. But in big swarms, they can certainly do quite a lot of damage. Yeah. Very nice. Just the right amount of pressure at just the right angle. Manages to open up an opportunity right here, allowing those pesky little bots into the backline. Very, very nicely done. Yeah, energy converters pop. We have a little bit of set target shenanigans going on right here. There we go. Eventually, we are going to clean these up, I do believe. The hounds will be able to mop up all these pesky platypids. That's a nice little run by right there. Maybe not the damage that the blue commander was hoping for with those bad bots, but certainly not bad. Using those bots wherever they can find an advantage, always well worth it. The beholders here trying to take a look at what's going on. Sharpshooter numbers growing for both sides here. Sheldon numbers also growing though, and that is important. Sheldon, similar to the Hound, if you're familiar with Armada units, essentially act as a frontline assault unit. They're great for breaking defensive lines, that sort of thing. Big old Janus tank ball. The Ducks have waddled under the waves as well here from the Hot Pink Commander. Hot Pink Commander in the backline right over here, and you can see those Ducks have done a fabulous job. They've appeared essentially out of nowhere. There is a single Starlight up and available right here. I heard bombing. Torpedo bombers out in the seas over here. Thought it might be EMP bombers on the way. Not gonna be the case though. These Ducks are waddling their way up this high ground right here. Good job is called. Donuts being praised for his duck aggression over here. Duck's a little underwhelming, I feel like. I'm not sure what it is, but as soon as they step out onto land, it feels like they just aren't nearly as good. Their torpedo launchers are definitely quite a bit more powerful. Build power will be targeted down, though. That's quite nice. These ducks are now in the back line. Top priority should definitely be the energy converters, the wind turbines, and the metal extractors. Crippling that economy definitely weakens the army right here from Mikoksky, who has tremendous amounts of medium tanks here, but absolutely no incentive to use them, I suppose. I mean, he has plenty of incentive to use them. He could probably crush his lane right here and win at least through this part of the game. Just not quite realizing it, unfortunately. One of the lower true scale players, though, so maybe just a little less experienced with the game. Persecutor gets blasted away, by the way. Those sharpshooters putting in some good work here. Sheldon also making this extremely difficult to push into with anything short of a full-fledged spam. Yeah, even the sharpshooters of the blue team don't really know how to deal with this because there's no spy bots or anything. This spy bot in orange, absolutely critical. We'll switch to the view of the orange players right now so you can see. They know that the blue player is up here, they know that the seafoam green player is over here, and these Sheldon have absolutely free reign to blast away over here. Not mentioning the sharpshooters, which of course have free reign as well. I did notice there was a pinpointer back here. Pinpointers are excellent, especially if you're going into a heavy sharpshooter composition, because it means that their shots aren't ever going to miss. They're going to connect with whatever they try and line up against. Even cloaked sharpshooters. They'll be more than happy to blast to smithereens. At this point, though, a massive scout wave is sent across here. You can see the scouts intercluded with the fighters over here, and of course that's because the nuclear launcher is up and ready. Well, not quite charged, but at the very least it's built. Love the fiends and grunts right here as a sort of a front line to make sure that this stays safe. That was a nice rocket connection right there. Sharpshooters not bad against medium tanks, but you definitely need a substantial number of them. The sharpshooters, that is. Yeah, okay, medium tanks still finding value right here, taking down those very expensive high-impact sharpshooter bots. Very nicely done. Ooh, rocket manages to snipe a spy bot right there. That was unfortunate placement. But this front line is absolutely in shambles here. At this point, the blue team probably pretty glad that their teammate was sitting on that many medium tanks, because at the very least they were effective at cleaning most of this up right here. Gonna be good enough to jump on top of all these Sheldon. But man, what an expensive loss on the front line. So much static defense went down, multiple commanders, as well as a big portion of the base over here for the Seafoam Green commander. At the very least, the economy remains intact, but that was just harrowing seeing that many units push forward over here. A little bit of a bomber run over here. They don't see the metal extractor, so maybe they assume that they've gotten it. Yeah, T2 fighter is going to be pretty good for shooting these down. I did see a bomb just connect with that fighter, by the way. Feel free to rewind and zoom in on that. A bomb just landed on top of this Nighthawk right there. Always funny when that happens. Commander goes down on the right-hand side. Gonna be Jamakis' commander, it looks like. Although it might be the Maroon commander. Hard to tell with the way that ocean water tampers the perspective. Did we not include those res bots? Oh, we did not include the res subs. Ah, bit of a bummer. Cage Clad knows not to make that mistake and will indeed include a couple of those res subs. Gonna be more than happy to eat up a lot of that metal, even though he can't even spend it. Gonna be pumping out more and more of those boats. Oh, I see what's happening here, though. Last Blast has gone for a fabulous economy. Triple APHIS economy right now, and is now just pumping out destroyer after destroyer. Sorry, battleship after battleship. This is gonna be impossible for the Maroon Commander to hold. This needs to be addressed by, well, somebody. Nuke up in the air. Headed directly towards the brown base. Boom goes the base of random OFG. Down goes that commander's entire facility for unit production here. A couple of constructors left on the front, so at the very least that commander's going to be able to rebuild here. But that definitely stings. Excellent play right there from God Official. Sent out those scout planes and did scout for the anti-nuke there, so always good to remember that you should probably do that. Definitely makes those nukes quite a bit more efficient. There's also a few areas where I wonder if nukes wouldn't be possible. I wonder, so here's a weird trick. If you ever fire a nuke at something, like say for instance you fire it at a mountain range, like you fire it right here on this mountain range, because of the angle of it, it'll actually collide with the mountain on this side of it. You might be able to take out somebody, for instance, like Orobard, who has a anti-nuke here, by aiming it into the backline somewhere. Now, luckily, Jamakis has an anti-nuke back there, so I doubt that would work in this particular situation. But I wonder if you could plan something like that, if you knew exactly where the location of the anti-nukes was in somebody's base. Food for thought. Anti-air boats included in this mixture, and they are happy to blast away all that composition. This is one of my favorite things to see, is when you can manage to get some of those T2 anti-air underneath the air wall that's patrolling back and forth like this and just obliterate it. You can see all those fighters going down right here for the Tan Commander, and that is just wonderful for the red team, or sorry, for the blue team. Battleships will collide. Tons of Buccaneers out now, and at the very least that flanking bonus is going to be tremendous. 2 battleships already down. Need to spread the forces a little bit here. But I think eventually the Maroon Commander just doesn't have enough metal on the field. Naval economies rely heavily on slow but steady gradual increases. The spikes that you get from APHIS production don't necessarily apply so well to the naval field. Oftentimes they can be a bit jarring when you're stepping into Navy for the first time. What it means is that you have to rely much more heavily on reclaim and resurrection in order to keep your Navy alive and productive. A lesson that I believe the Maroon Commander is about to learn firsthand here as their battleship goes down. Another one about to hit the front lines. At least there are some constructors out. Okay, constructor ships could fix this. We need so much more production right now. We need so many more constructors right now. We need so much more energy. Really tricky situation. You have to continue expanding your economy while continuing to reclaim from the front here. This is all battleships though, so like just an army of red subs right underneath all this could absolutely keep these alive. Torpedo bomber is going to be deploying those high impact torpedoes on top of directly the poor unfortunate battleships over here. But the blue team deciding to just intentionally be a little bit wasteful here. Just kind of take the inefficient fight, sort of the brute force approach here. And hope that they can smash through like a sledgehammer. Sharpshooter ball looking fabulous right here as well for the blue team. My goodness, that concave of sharpshooters is just devastating. We do have a ton of sharpshooters coming out at this point for the light pink, powder pink player as well. But my goodness, with that many sharpshooters on this road, it's going to be really difficult for virtually any army to step forward here. You need to send a dedicated spam of rovers or rascals through that water in order to take care of this. Otherwise, you're going to be in a terrible, terrible position as soon as those sharpshooter rifles click. Anti-air boats should definitely be a high priority right here. Those torpedo bombers are getting ravaged by them. Defender's advantage is real, and it's the only reason why the Maroon Commander is still in this fight. Even though this Congo line of battleships coming out right now is absolutely going to eventually overwhelm this commander. At the very least, the airplanes, as well as the aforementioned defender's advantage, making this a little bit more efficient to hold. Our commander does not have any constructors left. We need to see a, well, yeah, I guess some naval engineers make a lot of sense. Whoa! Massive bombing run up on the northern side. Sorry, I was preoccupied by the battleship spam over here, but yeah, a whole bunch of bombers do come out of this side. My goodness, God official. Taking the hardest path possible. We have anti-air all over the place, but still managing to sneak a couple bombers through and ravage the economy of Jamakis. That is a satisfying explosion right there for the blue team. Shutting down a huge proponent of the economy right here. You can see removing almost 300 metal per second coming out of the Red Commander's economy factories. His energy conversion laboratories. And that means this naval lab does not have the support that it once did. Sharpshooters continuing to fight in the middle of the map here. Yeah, they just need only be fight commanded forward, and they'll eventually shut down all the sharpshooters in pink who are busy dealing with all of these heavy tanks. Just like that, the entire army is melted. AFK front. We do have a lot of units that are just waiting to pull the trigger here. T3 lab, full-blown T3 lab has been set up over here. Cage Quet's commander moving forward. Are we gonna go for a capture command? Oh, please tell me we go for a capture command. That would be just lovely. We're gonna go for a D again. What a bummer. Oh well. D-gun works, I suppose. Yellow commander taps out of the game over here after being destroyed by the air, or by the naval forces, pardon me, of the purple commander, Xeno Dragon. And with that, the red team is in a terrible, terrible position. T3 lab is up and running, so those T3 units might be able to do something on this front here, but they're gonna need to do something quick. Maybe a couple of marauders sneaking around the map might be able to get a little bit of a surprise attack in, but against all these sharpshooters, it's just gonna be impossible to do anything else. Razorbacks, even if they push forward, are going to get obliterated. You can see this one already at 53% health. I imagine it was shot 2 or 3 times by those sharpshooters and realized, wait a second, I don't actually want to push too far forward right now. Torpedo bombers getting out of dodge just as soon as those fighters are pulled here. Trying desperately to avoid them, but I think there's not enough anti-air here, so these fighters will eventually catch this massive ball of torpedo bombers. Friendly fighters for the Tan Commander coming in right now. Gonna try and clear out a whole bunch of that airwave over here. Still though, so many of those torpedo bombers just went down, and that is a nightmare. Crashing and burning torpedo bombers take out some of those energy converters, as well as Cage up on the high ground here, just continuing to be a nuisance. Looks like we did capture the the metal extractor over here. Always good to see. I think it's a great strategy. Capturing your enemy's units, definitely viable. Surprised we don't see a missile boat coming up here. I would imagine a missile boat or 3 in order to blast away this geothermal, as well as this base over here for Orobard would be quite useful. I believe the red team has a scout on this base even. Yeah, we know exactly where this base is, so I think that'd be an excellent opportunity. Donuts and Cage duking it out over here. Cage will eventually go down. Throwing the commander at this point, because the blue team already has such a tremendous advantage. You can see now the economies, depending on the reclaim. Yeah, the blue team definitely throwing away more resources, if the resources are just handed over. Obviously, reclaim is the biggest comeback mechanic in this game. Yeah, without those torpedo bombers to even up this fight, this definitely looks pretty bad for the Maroon Commander. EMP bombers could also work here. You can imagine 3 or 4 EMP bombers connecting with all of this. Shut down each and every single one of these boats. The reclaim on those engineers was fabulous, but there's just so many destroyers out in the water. Absolutely brutal. Sharpshooters slowly starting to march forward here. The red team definitely in a bad way. They're going to need some sort of Hail Mary play in order to win this match. Sharpshooters moving a little bit out of position while the Razorbacks are stepping forward here. Those Razorbacks are too hesitant though. Oftentimes one of the best way to micro your sharpshooter is to actually turn them off of fire at will. Wait until some enemy units come within range and then turn them back onto fire at will. They should prioritize the highest HP targets. Usually the targets you actually want them shooting at. Battleships on the southern side have swamped through this base over here, accompanied by the Buccaneers, of course, to destroy any of those underwater facilities. Torpedo bombers not nearly going to be enough against all of this anti-air right here, included in the mixture. A beautiful composition. Battleship, Buccaneer, pretty much a match made in heaven. Doesn't get much better than that. Oh, and Pyroglacius' commander is targeted down, blows up, sends the laboratory straight to wherever Cortex commanders go when they die. Big old bombing run coming in here as well. A couple of those high-impact bombers going to deploy their warheads directly onto the anti-nuke here. APHIS will go up in the ensuing explosion, though, and that means that there is virtually nothing left for the Tan Commander. Another massive hit from the air player here, blowing apart a huge chunk of the red team's economy. T3 Lab on the front goes down as well. It just goes to show you can use those T2 units effectively enough that it doesn't even matter that you go into T3. Beautiful, beautiful plays right there. Those sharpshooters making an excellent, excellent showing. Now the Tsars rolling forward. Those heavy impact condensed matter cannons firing away with a hellish fury, and the red team does indeed cave under the weight of the blue army. Beautiful, beautiful plays all across the map right here. Love the teamwork from the blue team. Felt like they were just a little bit more coordinated, right? Felt like everywhere I looked, the blue team was working together. We had the Lavender and the Cyan commander working on the seas. We had all the commanders of blue working in the middle here. Just felt like everybody was doing their part, and that's always what I love to see. If you enjoy these games beyond all reason, sure hope you'll consider joining the Brightworks by hitting that subscribe button down below, and I will see you, in that case, in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.